Hello and welcome. So I've been watching a bunch of Finger Lake videos, and excitingly, I decided, why don't I see if Randall Carlson has any videos on the Finger Lakes? And he has at least two. I'm watching the second one now. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to say some stuff in this video now and start recording because there's a lot of interesting stuff. He's been talking about. Also, I drew this before I. This point seems relevant over here. I guess might as well start here. This, I didn't draw through this or through this. What I actually drew was here to this corner because of reasons that I've been kind of, and it also goes right through that point. I was thinking, looking at this, like it might actually indicate a current flowing in here at this width, although I don't know. But, so there's some interesting things I've found with the Finger Lakes. Here's the Finger Lakes. These ones, this is Seneca, Lake Seneca. This is the furthest east of the Finger Lakes that flow north, and then everything else to the east flows south and to the Chesapeake Bay. I think that's how it is. I'm not completely sure if that's how it is presently, but in the past, this is from not Randall Carlson's video, but let's see if I can find it. This is a good video. But I don't know why I watched that. I didn't. It's like, surely it'll be at the top somewhere. Not these either, not that one. I must have watched it recently, but it doesn't seem to be in here. That's weird. Nope. 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 Oh well, one of the videos. Maybe if I just search for it instead. What am I doing? No one knows. No one knows what's happening. Okay. Finger Lakes geology. Just search like that. Just for reference point. Not this one. I think I watched this one a long time ago. This one.
Cake?
Yeah. He said, at some point he says, let me just read it. The Finger Lakes West, which is actually Quecca, so Quecca Lake, which is, I guess, this one. Quecca Lake. Yeah. This lake and west, according to him, which, based on geology, were all south flowing, and then the Seneca east were all north flowing initially. So there was these lakes flowing southward, and then these lakes flowing northward. I'm not sure what to make of it because I know there's like deposits at the end of them all at the southern ends, which would suggest at least some period of flow southward, although maybe that's just as far as the glaciers advanced, but still the water like entered under them. I'm not sure why one would still produce moraines at the end, as they're called. I don't really know much about those features, but it seemed that they were poorly mixed, large spread of particle size, basically not even necessarily conglomerates. I'm not sure, but so some things Randall was talking about was these lakes, in his interpretation, point to around here, and that there's drumlins in this area, which is hard to see on this map, like pretty much impossible to see on this map. But fortunately, we've got this map, where we can zoom in and see it pretty good. I don't know how to make it more colorful, but this is Lake Ontario. Here's all the drumlins. So again, he's pointing to that they generally point to there. And then, as we can even see here, there's drumlins, these features. There's drumlins over here, which again, the opposite side of the lake somewhere. There's just so many cool features. But where? There they are. So their orientation points to definitely points the direction of flow. So like, there's some here suggesting flow this way. There's some here suggesting flow this way. So they're kind of merging in there, maybe. But I was looking around, so let's go over here. Right here is this flame structure. So we're going to go back and forth over and over. This flame structure that extends to about there. And then over here is this row that I've been measuring from here down this way to, and so on. I thought, well, why don't I look at that area in this thing? And notably, right here, boom, bend. Like immediately at the end. So it's going off this way, but also bending. So I started looking, like, well, it kind of fades here. But, like, here's this. And here's just a bunch of stuff where there's definitely just generally, like, going across features all the way out here. Possibly maybe out to there. Like, still going generally across. So that's a good sign that there's some kind of bend out of this, let's say. Let's just interpret for the time being. There's a current coming out of here going this way and bending because of something over here resistance-wise, like the mountains. And maybe other currents that are like pushing against the mountains effectively as a backstop. So it bends, goes around here. There's those impact structures from the current interacting with cross currents, possibly relating to its location here. Okay, let's keep going though. Comes down this way. Like we can see them here. Still kind of going pretty much across with cross currents. Where here's another lake. There's that impacting that next lake. If we zoom out here, here's Lake Superior. And if we just follow like right up the top here, there's something going on here. This is what made me be like, I gotta hit record right now. I don't know, I haven't even found it on the map. Let's check it out. Oh, hey. It's the Sudbury Impact. And then the Temagami Magnetic Anomaly, maybe? Or maybe that's Sudbury. It's really hard to see. This is the best one, though, unfortunately. There must be a way to make it better. I just don't know what I'm doing on this map. It's kind of hard to find maps like this that are very good. But yeah, it's going across there. Like, here's Lake Ontario, for reference. The little point there. So above it is this arc coming out of Lake Superior, across this way, over this way, over this way. And then notably, as it approaches this region, there's all these little things here. This is what I'm curious to look at. And then there, I guess. Like, what do these look like here? Is this even visible? I guess they're these things. Oh. Whoa, just across this river. The St. Lawrence River. Let's see, let's go back. Looks like literally right across it. Here's the river. We can see it there at least, and maybe still up here. Hard to say here. I think it goes down and then that way. So it goes over, I guess down. Maybe there. So basically where that river is and then where this is, there's an intersection that then has these little nodes forming basically at that intersection. And over here, it looks like the last one, maybe even, I don't know, probably that's like the last detectable one, really. That's clearly related to them. So that's something. Let's see. So that means that the current came out here, went this way, went down here, and like came out here, but it also went across like this way, and then down this way. Or I'm not sure if that's actually where it's at. Where this is? Where is this? This looks like a river. That's my thoughts. Is there something of that nature going on, like right across some kind of? It's just like a triangle shaped ketchup packet that you squeeze, and it just shoots the material out because it's getting pressurized, I guess, from the side. Like it's a failed mid-continent rift. It didn't actually like stay rifted. It's kind of pushed back together, maybe with water that was inside of it at the time, maybe as it was getting compressed from like things going on over here, just pushing over, squeezing maybe in a way to just close it, any opening that was there, relatively speaking. So I've got lots of thoughts, It's hard to like voice them spontaneously when I have them across many hours and don't like explicitly write them down, because sometimes they're hard to write down. like this. Here has an outer edge. Let's go through some maps. So down here I've been talking about a current going across this way. It occurred to me, oh yeah, there's that mid-continent rift that I think went like this way and this way, this way, this way, this way. I'm not sure if that's the mid-continent rift as a whole. Yeah, yeah. And goes into Michigan. Like the location where that shoots off of. Goes like up here, down here, and over to here, I guess. And if we look at geological map of Michigan, which is pretty interesting. Down here, there's nothing that's like going across it. There's just really clear evidence that a current came in this way right here, like right in, and then kept going through this, but it created like a hexagonal little indentation and then just like a path behind it. So I looked around. Here's just North America in general. Notably, here's Lake Ontario. Here's this structure that goes this way around, not Lake Superior, the one that we just looked at, the Mid-Continent Rift, but this structure that goes this way over here and does this very similar thing. Also with that, but like that shape. Almost like it's like mirroring it next to it and above it. Next to it and above it, mirroring it though, because of it being like a shadow under pressure that holds some kind of like outward current boundary maybe. That then just mimic the shape in terms of like the layers. So this is deposited. This layer was deposited at like 440 million radiometric dating. So if we go to here, this little portion of New York, here's the Finger Lakes below it. So if we go to here, here's the Finger Lakes. Here's that stretch again. Finger Lakes are all started like just after it at the very most. So definitely a correlation in terms of like where they formed. Like they didn't prefer to form in it, they formed after it, suggesting something with this layer being important in some regard, as some sort of boundary of energy exchange that was getting passed. Which kind of looks visible in the terrain here. But maybe it was more like this. Coming down here and like through this arc and then over. Based on this type of map. And then there's this. So if we go up to this flame here. Whoa. If we go to this flame here, we see all the, what I guess is fault lines. These black little, that's usually a fault line, so that's probably fault lines. I don't know if it has a key anywhere. But they distinctly go in the flame shape on this side of the flame even. I don't know why exactly, but on this side, maybe on the inner boundary, some kind. It seems to be that these types of structures form not because of like traditional interpretation, but because of boundaries between current flows. So like there's a current going this way, maybe there's a current coming in this way, hitting it and going this way, creating a boundary to it relatively that it then sprays through, but it also runs into resistance and goes around it and goes down here along the boundary again. Along a boundary, forming basically a channel at this width, or at least this width, maybe, where it's flowing, flowing, flowing. Flowing, flowing. Here is the mitten. Flowing down this way, and then it flows in at Lake Huron over here. Wait, let's go back. Basically where the mittens, where this current was flowing in. Yeah, this one coming in this way. Very clear in this map, coming in this way. And just drilling in, because it was focused at that point. Here, basically this way. But flowing generally like here and across this way, maybe. Maybe at this boundary then. Cross, and then generally to the here. So there's some sort of boundary there. Of a flow going that way that then extends into these. Maybe even into here. I'd like let's go back to this current. Doesn't seem to go down here. It's hard to say, like, because it's all the same color. I figure it makes some sense that it would be sort of a continuous flow, relatively speaking, although similar colors aren't the same, so it's hard to say how continuous that is. It looks very relatively continuous. But over here, I mean, this could just be some other type of thing that's very closely related to this current, but like divided. So I'm thinking, maybe actually, maybe it does. It comes in here, runs into here, and Lake Superior is going this way, shooting this way. But also into here, so the two currents start to like bend over this way instead and go through what then becomes like this portion of Lake Huron. And in the process, like, building this bladder behind it because there's just too much pressure here, so it like went out the side to build this area while it then channeled through here, over through here, over through here, over through here, over through here, and then over this way and up and out this way. So I'm thinking it, like, if we go back here, if the west side of these lakes are going while the earth is expanding, while the glaciers are forming, the left side is going southward and this is going northward, then we can just kind of keep moving our mouse, if you will, and say that's a counterclockwise motion around this center, basically, that maybe extends up to like a chakra, if you will, some kind of like a pole of like a center node. That one pole is at a very deep point and has all these drumlins, but it's also ultimately at a very deep point. Where over here, maybe it's at the highest elevation point, besides the etching in this region, in this whole nucleus region, I don't know. But so going this way, so if that's happening, but there's a current coming this way, then we've got a current going up, running into it, and basically bending and having some kind of balance established. So my thought is maybe it goes down and some boundary here. If it doesn't like go into this circle region, into this region, it goes this way. Like it just keeps going and continues generally across this way, where then it joins like down here or maybe over here, some other like current in the overall process. So essentially this one's going counterclockwise, but if this comes in this way and then wraps around into this one, then it's going clockwise. So there's some sort of boundary between two eddies that would be happening, where this one's eddy reaches out here and then kind of has a boundary here though, and then also another boundary here, like a current's coming this way, holding a hard boundary along this line. Maybe I can just for funsies. Okay, so this one's coming in this way at this boundary, basically out over here. Definitely coming in that way. And then we've got a current that did go this way generally and like went across though, where those things were, so it went that way, running into resistance and ultimately then going that way, I guess. And then down here we've got a portion going, it's probably a little dark, like a divide of anything here going north. So like north. I guess let's go like this actually. South. Anything like this way. And then it divided. And went like around like this way. A larger, like a boundary somewhere a boundary that's not very distinguishable, I guess. And then here, though, it just, like, preferentially went this way and out here, where then it interacted here and then joined there. So then we've got ourselves a current going this way, a current going the opposite way, and between them, these nova centers, if you will, these curiosities in a line of this one, with its like outer boundary too. It kind of, it's like there. This point here is in that line. I forget what else is in that line. Maybe Melrose, PA, is that an important location? I wonder if it's like very close to like there. Okay, now let's draw some color. There are some like rotations, some currents. Fuchsia. So if this is going like this, then this is going this area. Let's look a little closer. This area here is a little odd because it almost looks like it's fanning out, like here. This looks kind of fanning. So it's kind of like there's a current flowing that way, honestly. So it makes me wonder if this current also goes down this way, comes into this region on this side. It's certainly got a branch there. And just coming out here, maybe exiting there. So let's say there's some portion of it that's going that way as well, like at the very boundary. Crossing this way from the yellow current, basically going this way. And then down is like a very boundary right there. Which then fans out a bit into this region and just interacts. So then this one, all like open for debate and so on, of course. This one goes this way and this way, maybe? Because I really feel like it does go that way, although maybe I'm putting too much weight in that. That might actually be more of an undercurrent thing. If we look at this, the things we're looking at are not as apparent, but some things are, like right here. We can see even below. That's why I think maybe it's actually an undercurrent related more so. Even like right approaching it, dot, 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 dot. Like there's this string where all these things are. So like these seem related to the things around them, which seem to go in this boundary in a way where then it actually looks more related to the structure, the mid-continent rift zone, where it has this thing going over, and then generally, which is why I think it's more of like a held up structure here. This stretch is like not eroded because it's an undercurrent that's filling in above, I guess, and it's not able to erode it, but it is filling in above while like shooting debris over here, I guess. So it's not actually related to the overcurrents happening that these are there, just a relationship in like the geometry, I guess. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, So the reason I was saying that is because maybe it doesn't even have to go that way. It could just go back in, go this way, be resistant, like enough resistance here that just whatever's making it over here is probably not as much as everything going other places. So it was more able to just kind of channel this way along a boundary. And go back. Let's see if there's like a topographical signature of that. Here's the lake, so maybe like going back generally there. It does have like forking going that way. Maybe it looks possible. Notably, importantly, I don't know what exactly to make of it. This structure right here is a structure. It's not just like arbitrarily looking like this. It's actually Precambrian, I believe, and it was not subject to the glaciation. So it's kind of like a plateau. I think it is a plateau even. Yeah, we can kind of see it's elevated a little bit, I guess. But apparently it wasn't subject to glaciation, even though what in the, it sure looks like something happened here. But that's like a node, and then there's this going on with like a nucleus that may be extended in a positive, negative, very large void, opposite, like more mass, maybe kind of thing, where that was like a node, and this was like a node. Like maybe this was a important element to be present in order for the surroundings to happen. Like the current came across, ran into resistance here. Like it could have just went right out that way, maybe. But instead it ran into resistance and went up this way. Which also provided a space for a cross current to fill, maybe. To come in this way and then just fill like a fan. Like a seashell. And then exiting this way, I'm thinking. Like at least in part, like it could literally be that there's so much water that at a boundary there's just like both ways, and it's just carving many little eddies there that then etch an actual river out relatively. It's even interesting that there's two sides along it like that a lot, maybe. At least down there in that region, like up until there. Then there's that one. So many thoughts in it. Don't think I even like mentioned several. Like for instance, one thought I had, Randall Carlson was saying that because these drumlins and these are faced north-south and these are faced east-west relatively, that they had to form afterwards pretty much. Like these form, all this stuff down here formed, and then the glaciers retreated, and these formed by a subsequent current that came from this way. But my thought is, what if it actually was involved with like a cross current that was below? Like there's one current generally coming like high enough up here this way across, like from here, just straight from the Hudson Bay across, but higher, and then another current below that current. In terms of its interactions, it flows physically below it, so that here, when they interact, it just, instead of like colliding and mixing, it really like runs into resistance, bends around the current and goes under it, and then essentially etches these simultaneous to this happening. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be at different times. That was a thought I was having. They're certainly current induced, and they're not impact structures. They're current induced, but they are radial in a way where they appear like they could be related to impacts, but they're radial from like a point in terms of like a spray rather than like a every direction radial. More so like a hose that has a spray nozzle on it, because it's like a current flow that then comes out of the hose spray nozzle as like that. So many things. Okay, so let's go back to this because we're making some progress. We got a current going this way, then we got this going this way. Okay, let's go back to teal, aqua, and this one, like generally if we follow it, I'm thinking just do it here, like there. There's that, and then there's also generally like across, as well as out through the Mississippi. I don't even know if that's where the Mississippi is. It's over here. That was close. And over there, because it goes there too. This goes to the Carolina Bays. This goes to Mississippi. Generally speaking, like down this way. And then this goes this way. So this must have ran into some kind of resistance to just bend off of it and go around, or it just had a lower elevation region to fill, so it just went in. Like, oh, hello. And then this opened enough where it started to drain down. Like the ocean was closed, so it didn't have that space to flow in, so it just went this way. Possibly in relationship to this water that was flowing out here. Like building a pressure here, so it bent off it until it could maybe get above it. Like it specifically bent off it, went up along it past this exit point, and at that point it could bend this way, where then it went down, up, and then came out here. Like at that point, where then it's generally above this, and then the currents are going this way across here at the time, which I've seen. I think if we look at Trans-Saharan Seaway map, maybe we can kind of see it here. Things of this nature. This one draws it just going out and up. I don't think that's true, especially when you see this one, like they're emanating from that point. I think it actually went this way back in, and then this way. Like there's some reason this is not being accounted for. I think it's just the timing. I'm not sure how the two processes are so separate from one another. It must be that the Trans-Saharan Seaway is dated based on things that date to the KT boundary, or what, 90 million to around the KT boundary, because like ammonites and things, because it's clearly happening simultaneous. I don't know why. Like there's definitely a flood going across here, like the whole of this, so why there'd be just the Trans-Saharan Seaway, I'm not sure. So really my interpretation is that it's simultaneous for the time being, at least. And a current was flowing out here and out here that split around some resistance here, but interacted over here because they were close enough that the currents flowing off of one flowed basically into the nearby ocean of the other, rather than into this huge void that had space to fill, because it didn't yet. Possibly even relating to that then as well, like the way there's these indentations in this stretch especially. I don't know what to make of that exactly. Okay, let's go back. This blue. Okay, let's draw something else. Let's say just straight up white. Oh, I already did that one. I need more good colors. Okay, fine. So then this goes generally also this way. Cross here. Through this way. And that way, I guess. So I guess similar to what I was saying before, where there's like a water above, or something above that's hotter, yeah, hotter temperature, and then something below that's colder, and the colder thing, I guess, is closely related to what's flowing out here, or maybe just some aspect of it that makes it like do this second process below at a deeper level. Like while currents are flowing across this way and swirling, there's this current flowing in this way and going out like that underneath it, and then going over this way, like totally against this current. Like over here is going this way, but this is going this way, like totally against it, but in a manner where it's actually, because it's different layers, so it's able more freely to move counter to the motion of the above layer. Let's see what else I got written down. Okay, let's see if anything comes to mind. Okay, I did that one. Ice also reached St. Louis. Shale So the reason these are so easily eroded is because they're in shale. Da, da, da. Okay, there's definitely, it's worth noting that the Allegheny Plateau is here in regard to this. So maybe this is not quite right, like it actually... I'm just wondering if it has like another boundary to this system that like is here, down like this way, that continues and goes kind of around the Allegheny Plateau. I might have this circle wrong here. I'm trying to think which direction I had it in the past. Let's see. I have it right here. I had this one going clockwise out from the center. I guess it fits. Clockwise out from the center. It's almost like as it does this, like this valve opens to make a space to go out to this far. Let's keep going. All the glens at south end have all the glens at the south end. So there's glens at the south ends of these that all have potholes, which are clear signs of eddies. Clear signs. Which that's what we're looking at, is eddies. What have you done for me lately, eddies? Oh yeah, constantly killing it. That's what eddies do. They answer so many things. Okay. Drumlins swarm north of Finger Lake, south of Lake Ontario, and north. Some truncated by Lake Ontario. So that's another thing that Randall Carlson pointed out. Was that some of the drumlins abruptly end as if like they were cut off by subsequent processes. So they do seem to have formed early on, relatively speaking, before the etching of the lakes. Like, at least these ones, or at least during the etching of the lakes, like they were forming already before the lakes were etching, but then they still formed after this region etched, so that they even formed at the base. Yeah, so I'm definitely missed some things. Probably said some silly things. But it makes me think of this, like if I could draw it. Maybe that's this region here, the Finger Lakes. If I could draw a cross section of it, let's say that. Silver, sure. Okay, the portion in the lake, let's say here's the lake bed, is like here, and freaking thing. And then it goes up to the. Why is it doing that? Up. And then it goes over. And then it's got these drumlins, like the drumlin spot. But then it goes up to like a peak and to a base. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It has. I didn't draw that very well. I'm kind of thinking like an exponential curve thing like this. That has like a base and a peak, a positive and a negative at the very, very ends of it, rather than like near each other. So they're like right here, positive, negative. Like if we look at basically there, all these drumlins are there, and that's the deepest point. Like if something of this nature is going on here, then it's totally possible that sorry. I lost track. Yeah, there's something of that nature is going on there, and it's like standard. Let's look at like Mount. It brings to mind Mount Gurnar. It brings to mind Mount Gurnar, where I gotta pull up my article. Probably this one. So Mount Gurnar has a hexagon. It has around it. It has an inner hexagon within the materials itself, where there's olivine gabbro hexagon in here, and then it's got a triangle of monzonite, diorite, and then it's got a square in the shape of the topographical map around the mountain, and then around the mountain itself is wrapped a circle. And so I put this structure, and it's really interesting that this mountain, 9, if you look at these numbers, 1, there's a lake, 1, there's a lake, 8, there's 1, but it's also like comes out of 1 and goes over to 8. I know some of these are man-made and it's not perfect. But 9 and 9, two opposites. This is at that hexagon point over here, and then this one over here. I almost feel like it's similarly doing something of that nature here, where this one's like lower. It's got the place where people. I don't know if this is man-made yet. I think it might be, but I also am not completely sure. It just gives me that vibe of what I was just drawing. This, with these, the way these numbers like orient themselves around Mount Gurnar in ways. Like, here's a lake at one, here's a lake at one. They're dammed, but they're still dammed at, like, appropriate places to get, low elevation places to make lakes. And then this one, I really feel like it's kind of like a 0 point opposite to that corner. So maybe some kind of relationship like that is going on in this region over here. Right here. Where it's even got like a hexagonal corner here, go down, over, up, and then this way. So it might be kind of part of a hexagon that has an outer edge, generally where these things are. It's not quite the same nature, but maybe it's similar in a way that's worth noting. I don't know how exactly this would, like, shed light onto the process of Mount Grenard's formation, but it could be related. Just such a different angle of perception to see something that otherwise would not be seen. I don't know. Okay, with that all said, without further ado, it's been an hour. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. See you till next time.